I think the one thing you notice when you come to a country like Malaysia as a tourist or first time is that it's very developed. But when you peel back that veneer and you look under, the accountability is not there. They're very good intentions, but the follow through is not there.
Definition of a street kid is just that. They spend most of their time on the street. Their homes are one space bedrooms, that they may call home, but when the parents are working and eating out of their area, they're back out on the streets and they turn out, they're street kids. They don't have any place to go. They're wandering on the streets. They're sleeping on the streets.
Street children do face abuse at many different levels.
The migrant kids and street kids are also very vulnerable, at-risk kids, at really high risk in terms of being victims of abuse or child trafficking.
There's denial at all different levels that trafficking doesn't exist, that stateless children doesn't exist, and that sexual abuse of children doesn't occur. First, you have to accept it, that it's there, before you're going to agree to doing something about it.
I mean, Malaysia having signed, the Convention for the Rights of the Child, having signed that, yet you see very little being implemented.
The child protection mechanism in Asia is also really weak, so it's very easy for sex offenders to just come in.
In other countries, it's not that sexual abuse does not occur, but they have better support systems and they have better mechanisms in place to help the child. Those are lacking here.
If the child has been sexually abused, we'll have to go through a whole reporting process. The reporting process needs to be improved. So the child gets interviewed at least by 6 or 7 adults. The kids that we have, that we do therapy with, they're saying, we don't want to talk to any of the authorities anymore. We don't want to talk to the police. We don't want to talk to the doctors because they ask the same questions and nothing happens, right? So they're saying, why should we even say anything? So it really discourages the child and it really discourages the guardian of the child to even lodge a report.
In terms of the migrant communities, the vulnerability is just absolutely there because the sex offender, if there's a sex offender in the community, he or she knows that they aren't going to be caught. So it's almost like a carte blanche.
You think of what happens in India or Somalia, or you think of what happens in Bangkok, you think of what happens in Cambodia or Jakarta, we have the same issues. We've had about 17 cases of child trafficking here, different ranges. The most common, which is illegal adoption. Illegal adoption means that you actually buy babies for the intent of selling them to a childless couple. Usually it's a childless couple or someone who wants a child. And usually that comes with fake documents. The most common type of trafficking that happens that we've seen is children being sold for illegal adoption. But more scary than that is that children and babies are being sold to the highest bidder. And we've had documented cases or heard of cases where children are sold for as low as 20 ringgit, all the way up to 28,000 ringgit, where that child that was sold for 28,000 was sold by the kilo. When you buy a child, the child doesn't come with proper documents or fake documents. We have no way of knowing where the child is from, who the parents are, and chances are you're never going to find the parents. So when you buy a child here and you get caught, the child, the fake birth certificate is pulled back. When you pull back that fake birth certificate, you can't issue a new birth cert. So guess what happens to the child? Stateless. The child now cannot go to school, denied access to health and education, now is a police case, supposed to be in trafficked homes. We only have one home, government home for trafficked children here. No alternative safe houses in trafficked home for children. You cannot. It is so dangerous for someone to buy a child here and to fake papers. It is the worst thing you can do to a child if you get caught.
The refugee children, their fear is they are in a country which is not theirs. There is very little acceptance for people like them. There is no freedom to go out, to run to a playground, play and just be a kid. There's no freedom to have an education. I mean, it's not, like I said, there are no official schools here for refugees. It's all makeshift refugee schools which are supported by individuals, groups or UNHCR. So not everyone has access to that. For them, education is not a birthright, it's a privilege for them. And they see it as a means out of their poverty. So it's so important for them.
And as a refugee, it's impossible to go to the government school because they don't recognize us they don't recognize the refugee.
Alternative education. You can't call it school, we're not allowed to provide schools for them.
I want the people know about the refugees. We are here sometimes not like a human because we have to always hiding or we have to be afraid all the time at night or day. I think people are the same, refugee or not, all are the same. And blood is red. That's why we don't need to be afraid.
From the perspective that we come from, we're looking at prevention aspects and therapy aspects. The idea behind the prevention projects with children is to empower children, to give them knowledge and skills so that they have the internal tools to protect themselves in any potentially unsafe situation.
One of the things we are trying to do is also creating a safer society.
Yeah.
Started Nur Salam here. It's a 24-hour crisis center for children. It's the only child crisis center for children right now in Malaysia. It's basically taking care of or providing services as much as we can for all the children.
I've been working with the refugee community for about 2.5 years. At first it was more like English stories, and then it became eventually teaching them life skills, motivational stuff to empower them. When Lulu, who is a Kachin lady, and she is the one who worked together with the community, Kachin community, to set the schools, she wanted to give them an education.
We create as a school for our children. We provide the education. We have 2 schools. Other children, they don't come to school there. But we give the books and we encourage them to study with parents.
You can help by at least being compassionate.
We're hoping to change mindsets when we're doing public awareness and people are more aware.
Spreading awareness and screening awareness, I think that understanding and acceptance is a big thing.
Write to your representatives, talk to your leaders, talk to your community leaders. You cannot pretend this is not your problem anymore. I mean, we talk about globalization and the fact that we're a lot closer. You cannot pretend this is not your problem anymore. It's going to be your problem. It will be.
Acknowledging that every child is precious. Every child has rights, and every child is entitled to the same rights.